Yeah, I know. You don't have a drawer. Do you have a drawer?
No. Okay, we're getting the thumbs up.
Okay.
All right. Town Park Commission meeting, Tuesday, March 17th.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Okay. Commissioner Sach,
Here.
Commissioner Pagano,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro. Here. Commissioner Brett.
Here.
And sitting in for Supervisor Carvin is Town Councilman Tom Nardi.
Here. Okay. Can we stand up and have the pledge?
Okay?
Bishop, you want to lead us, please?
Okay. I want to apologize to the commission. We do not have the minutes of January 20th. We will have them for the next meeting.
Any comments from the public? Okay, Goldie?
First, I'd like to thank Billy for all he does for Oakland Beach concerts. The Oakland Beach concerts are the best under that pavilion, and Oakland Beach is a historic park. And it's the best beach in the whole area as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I love going to the concerts. I love trying to help Billy to give out the programs or an agenda or anything that has to be. I'm not happy with some things I see. There's a sign as you go up the walkway to the front pavilion there. It says no dogs allowed, but that's not what's happening. Sometimes I see dogs running, and when we're not in service, I see dogs on the beach running. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it's supposed to be. I would like more concerts. I understand we're going to start in June, but I would like more concerts underneath the pavilion because it is absolutely a beautiful pavilion, and the concerts are incredible. When you look out on the left and you see the moon coming up and everything, it's incredible, incredible. It's the best, Oakland Beach. And thank God for Billy for everything he does for the people who come to the concerts. Thank you.
Well, Tom, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Goldie, with regard to the dogs, you're right, that's not the way it should be, and that's not the way it's going to be, and it's certainly not the way it is as far as I know. The city of Rye made a really big commitment, Goldie, to make sure that this new system works. So we actually funded out of our own budget a full-time police officer who is going to be assigned down there when the weather warms up especially. He should be down there now from time to time, but if you can write down on a piece of paper when you're down there and when it is that you see a dog off leash, you can call me and tell me. For now, I can tell you, Dolly, that we're going to make sure that this thing does work.
But this has been going on for years.
And that's why we've changed it.
The dogs,
You're right.
I love dogs. It's not that I don't like them. I do like them, but when it says on the sign, no dogs allowed,
Well,
it
dogs
should
are
be
allowed.
that way.
Yeah, they are allowed, but they have
people
to be
come
on
with their
leash,
dogs,
but they
or
have to be on
sometimes
leash.
they're running loose.
Right.
And when we're not in concert, and I go down to the beach just to see what it is, dogs are running on the beach.
Right. Well, check the signs. I don't think the signs say no dogs allowed,
But the sign is there.
There is a dog.
And
there
because
is a
there
sign.
is a sign that says no dogs allowed, they shouldn't be allowed. They should be taken care of.
in closing, I would like to say I'm in favor of more concerts, Goldie.
You're in favor of what?
I'm in favor of more concerts. Absolutely. I think there should be more.
More concerts we need. We need more concerts because everybody loves to come to Oakland Beach for the concerts.
Okay.
Fred and Bill, when you give your management report, I'd like to hear some idea of what the dog situation has been like off season, and Joe and I. as
Oakland
you heard,
Beach
are
is the
committed.
best is the best park that Rye Town owns. The best park. I've been in Blind Brook. It's not the same. It's not the same. But Oakland Beach, oh my God, between the moon and and everything that's going on there, that doesn't happen anyplace else. It doesn't happen, but we do it. He does it. I try.
Okay, yeah.
Good evening. Russ Gold. I live in Rye, and for transparency's sake, I do serve on the Rye City Mayor's Rye Town Park Advisory Committee. I understand the format of this is not a question and answer, so I just want to bring some things up, bring some things to your attention, which you may or may not be aware of, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss this at a future date. First of all, kudos to the snow removal team this winter. They did a great job. Despite some pretty severe conditions, and I think it was really noticed by the people that use the park year round. I think that the thing that I have the biggest concern about are the ongoing lack of repair of these major damages. Okay, the retaining wall, the wall that surrounds the park at the corner of at the Forest Avenue and Oakland Beach Avenue, that's been blown away since August. Okay, so I can't really understand why nothing's been done to remediate the situation. Secondly, a similar damage, not quite as severe, and you may or may not be aware of it, but the little wall, the slightly curved wall that's at the main beach entrance and right at the corner of Seaside Johnny's, also where delivery trucks come in to make their deliveries during the season. One of those trucks apparently, or a truck, hit the corner post for that wall, and it's completely separated from it. I would think that two strong people could easily just knock the whole thing over, and it's got to weigh quite a bit because it's a big cement abutment thing with stones in it, and that could be a safety hazard. So, if you're not aware of it, I'd like to make you aware of it, and I think it should be fixed. And lastly, is the ongoing situation with the, which apparently is a storm runoff drain that empties out right at that entrance at Forest Avenue and Oakland Beach. When we have a heavy storm runoff, the water bubbles up out of that it actually dislodges the manhole cover. And I know you guys know about it because they put a couple of sawhorses around it, a cement bucket on it, and it completely fills up the area. I don't know if there's damage to a culvert under a buried culvert. Again, I don't know all the dynamics of it, but again, I think a real safety hazard. And I just want these things to be just noted, and I'd like you to look into them, and I'd like you to update us on the status of it when you can. Thank you.
Tom, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. I knew I should have started that way, but I didn't. But today is St. Patrick's Day, and I want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you,
Thank
Goldie.
you. So Russ, thanks for coming. So Bishop, I would, I guess, also be curious as to updates on a lot of those, especially the one that everyone sees, which is the big one at the corner of Oakland Beach and Forest.
Right.
With regard to the last one, I think that's actually one that I can provide an update on, which is the overflowing stormwater drains. My understanding from the city engineer is that the reason why that is happening is because they drain, or they are set up to drain into the duck pond.
Right.
But through the years, those drains have either become clogged or broken to the point where the water can't get there anymore, and so that's why it just backs up on the street. So that's actually a City of Rye public safety issue, quite frankly. And so, Bishop, what I'd like to have is Ryan Coyne, our city engineer, reach out to you, because I believe it is his intention, and it will be the recommendation of the city manager of Rye to issue an RFP for that to be fixed ASAP. And,
I suspected it was something like that. It's not so much it backs up on the street, it creates a small pond right in the park
Yeah.
beyond that big tree. And again, and also the manhole cover becomes dislodged, and I think that's a...
I think we're talking about the same problem.
The exact same problem.
I just think it's a safety
But,
issue.
and I don't know what contributed to the
Yeah.
storm drains becoming malfunctioning, whether it's cars driving over them or not. I think part of the
it's
the
age.
bid that the city engineer puts out will be to ensure that whatever new pipe goes in can withstand pressure on the surface. So I think the idea would be, we were slowed down, all of us were slowed down, including Bishop and your staff, with regard to the snow this season. But I think that we'd like to fix those pipes before the season really starts. So, I think we're going to try to expedite that, and I would imagine that as soon as our next council meeting, depending on where the city manager is on that, we can approve that and get started, and certainly Bishop will coordinate with you and your staff
Okay.
to make sure that happens, because obviously we're going to have to access the park and, I guess dig up the old pipe and put in a new pipe. And, we'll make sure that that's done with as little disruption as possible.
No, that's probably all original piping, and it's probably clay pipe, and if you've got trees there, you've probably got tree roots that collapse the piping.
And it's also right in the parking area, the
Yeah,
overflow
and you got the
parking area,
weight of
so-
over the
No, I
years.
get, yeah.
Right.
But I just want to say, one last
So
thing.
that part hopefully will be
Yeah.
fixed soon, Russ.
So last thing is that all three of these issues, they're not merely aesthetic, and I think they are also, safety concerns that we should all be, that should be dealt with. Thank you.
And I think as far as cost of repair, I think there may be some who would feel that that should be a Wrightstown Park Commission expense. I'm not going to engage in that debate right now. I don't even know how I feel about it, to be quite honest with you. What I would say is it needs to be fixed. So Rye's going to step up to the plate and fix it, and then we can have that discussion after the fact. We're not going to be a stickler on that. But I'm not, by stepping up to fix it, I don't think we're conceding that it shouldn't have some contribution, but however that works out, we'll discuss it, when we have more time. Right now, we don't have time, so we'll fix it first and talk about it later, if that makes sense to everyone else.
You might want to maybe consider, see about maybe relining the pipe as a total replacement, might be a little less expensive. Throw a camera down the line, see what the actual blockage is.
Yep.
Or whether it's collapsed. If it's totally collapsed, then you have no choice but to replace.
I think the city engineer has done some preliminary inspection, and I think it's bad enough that he thinks it needs to be replaced. Yeah, so, and why not? If we're going to fix it, we might as well fix it right, so it's ready for the next 50 to 100 years or whatever it is.
And I can address at least the two wall issues. The Forest Avenue wall, yes, it was around, I think it was August, September, was a limo driver drove through the wall. And we have been having issues with insurance and couldn't resolve it. And then all of a sudden winter came and you just really couldn't get the work done. We have bids already. We're ready to go. We're just waiting for the weather to break. And at that particular point, we'll be able to do that.
Is the limo driver insurance company going to pay for the damage?
Yes, I would say to you that at this point, we're looking at something in the neighborhood of $7,000 to $8,000 to repair that section of wall. But we still don't have a commitment, an absolute commitment, until we file our claim. Okay? I think the city of Rye prosecuted him in addition to that. The Seaside Johnny's Wall, again, the same area there. Our only reason for not repairing it was there was a promise by the trucking company that they would, in fact, fix it. We will chase them this spring and see that we can get that done.
Okay. Yep.
Any other?
Yes, there is. Go ahead.
Hi. Linda Wells, Friends for Town Park. Just a few things. After, I think, over a year of talking about a duck feeding sign, we're ready to roll. We had hoped to install it before the great onslaught of the snow, but I think the snows actually help the pond because it's snow-locked or landlocked. People can't even get down to it to feed the ducks. So I'm hoping as things melt that we'll see that the pond is in a better condition than it's been in past years, which would be great. But I just wanted to remind you of our hope to put this, our plans actually, to put this vending machine in by the fencing near the duck pond itself, and signs that ask people please not to give the ducks people food, and kind of steering them to the vending machine for which they pay a quarter to get a handful of feed. So I didn't want to just go ahead and install it without letting you know first. And then also talking about repairs, the sundial in the small garden on the knoll of the hill near Seaside Johnny's is in ill repair, and our group will fix that. If anybody's interested, there's a metal part of it that's actually the sundial aspect of the whole thing. That's loose. We've taken that. It's not been stolen. So we'll get to that probably in the next 2 weeks. And the duck feeding thing will go probably within the next week or two, now that the snow's disappearing. Something that was brought up to our attention is, it's minor, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's a pedestrian entrance in the perimeter wall of the park, again, near Forest and I guess closer to Dearborn, that has a chain across it. I'm not sure why. All of the others have open egress, and it just is, people have to step over it, go under it, rather than go down to the next entrance, and I'm not sure why that exists and if it shouldn't just be taken down. If it was an issue of maybe trying to prevent a vehicle from going through that opening, I don't know if we want to look at putting a post or something in there, or a natural rock like there is at at the corner of Rye Beach and Forest.
Okay.
That would prevent a vehicle going or a motorcyclist from thinking twice. But just that. You covered the damaged wall. And I just had, for my own sake, really, I just wanted to ask Mr. Salanitro about the sewer project that we had talked about. I didn't know if that's dead in the water. I couldn't honestly remember.
The county, I can answer that. The last communication I had with the consultant working for the county was that they prepared plans with two options in terms of the alignment of the sewer. One would be more aggressive and would involve more excavation through the park. The other one would be more peripheral, and I believe in consultation with the City of Rye's engineering department, the county is going to let the project where it's less, it's going to involve less excavation. But again, that hasn't been, that contract hasn't been let yet. They're still in the final design phase. But they did all the borings last year, identified all of the elements involving the replacement of that sewer line. And from what I heard about 2 months ago, the county was getting ready to go out to bid.
That would be great. I don't know if there's any possibility of being privy to what excavation is going to take place prior to the fact, because we had talked about landscaping issues, possibly sprinkler system issues, that kind of thing. And if it's going to be in the north end of the park, that's one area where our group would be interested in expanding some of the plantings. So
Yeah, I can
it might
get
all come together at the same time.
I had asked the consultant to provide us with some final plans, and obviously I'll work through the county to get those plans as well while they're out to bid. But I believe it's going to be closer towards the playland, because that's where the issues were paramount. The problems that we're having with sewer overflows were closer to the playland access road. So again,
So
I'll follow
maybe
up.
it may actually be outside the
Could be outside of it, yes.
okay.
Because I think they're trying to work together with the city, because the city sewer runs through the park as well, and the county has a pump station, lift station for playland, and I think they're trying to get all of the problems solved in the best way possible. There was talk about doing some minor tunneling work, because it was a very deep sewer, in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 feet deep.
Wow.
So they might do some, what they call pits, jacking pits, and then do some tunneling. Again, I think the county was in consultation with their consultants to get the best price and at the same time achieve the scope of the project.
Great.
So they're going to get, they should have plans ready, and I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
Great. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question on that. What does that mean by timing? It sounds like this, if they're just putting it out to
Yeah.
bid, it won't be done for this season.
Yeah, we had made on behalf of the Wright Town Park Commission, we had indicated to the county through their consultant that no work should be undertaken during our season, and they understood that, and I think letting the project, the parameters will be that there will be no disturbance to our park during our season. It'll be, when the season's over.
I just have to ask you something I'm not quite sure of. As you get older, it gets worse. That's all I can tell you. But is Wright Town, Oakland Beach Park, is it on the New York State National Register of Historic Places? Because it is a historic place. Is it on there?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then there should be a way to get money from either New York State or the National Register of Historic Places to help to keep it up.
Goldie, I just want to remind you, and we could remind the public at the same time, the roof project that we did a few years back, we received a total of about $400,000 in grant money, $200,000 from New York State and $200,000 from the federal government to help with that roof project. We could try again. That's
Is there
possible.
is there something on the pavilion that says that it is a historic site on the New York State National Register? Is there a plaque that's on there saying it?
I'm not aware of any.
Well, that's no good. All historic sites should have plaques to let the people know this is a historic site.
So
But
a
it's
couple of-
not there. If it's not there, that's no good.
A couple of years ago, the Historical Society placed a marker with a description of the history of the park right near where the bathhouse, where the entrance is to the bathhouses, along the
Where?
pathway there. Along the pathway to the bathhouses, the pathway that goes along the beach and in front of the pavilions, and where the pathway breaks off to go to the bathhouses.
Right
Right
opposite
in that
Seaside
corner,
Johnny's.
Right opposite Seaside Johnny's.
Is it on the wall of the building?
It
No,
is
it's a
not.
freestanding sign.
It's a freestanding sign with with pictures and
Where the flag is?
roughly, yes. No, I guess it's not that far up. You're right. It's much closer to Seaside Johnny's than where the flag is.
Well, it's got to be where everybody could understand and see that it is a historic site.
So Linda and I worked together on the placement of that to make sure it was in a visible location where there were a lot of pedestrians.
Okay, it's got to
and
be
things.
visible.
It is.
Okay. Any other questions from the any other comments from the public? Okay. No?
Okay.
Okay. The management report? Oh, we got somebody? Okay.
Good evening, and thank you, Goldie, for your kind words. I always appreciate your help. I guess I should start off by, you have a copy of the management report, and to the point regarding the dogs that were brought up before, just as Mayor Sach pointed out, the city of Rye passed a new law allowing dogs to be off-leash in a specific area of the park from 6 to 9 a.m. This is the small version of the signs that will be going up.
The sign is on
yeah.
there that says.
So that we're going to, dogs are allowed if they're on the leash. What this,
That's not where they can read it.
well, there's going to be 8 signs all around the park. So anybody who can't read it will obviously not be interested in reading it. So I think it will be hard not to read it because there'll be, and if we find out that 8 aren't enough, we could make more. But the point is to clarify the fact that in the park, dogs have to be on the leash except under specific circumstances, which are in this. If you want, I can make a copy of this and give it to you so you can see exactly what it is. Now, I know we keep blaming Mother Nature for all the delays and everything, but I have to say that it was a serious problem because these beautiful signs were made by the City of Rye's DPW, and during January and February, they were basically all they could do to keep up with all the snowfall and the ice and all that. So we didn't actually get the signs until near the end of February. And then we have a guy who's on retainer to do handyman jobs. He got the signs just last week. So that we hope, I was actually hoping they'd be put up today, but they weren't as far as I could see when I went by there this afternoon. But we will have these signs put up. We're going to take down all the old dog signs, some of them which are very confusing, and they have arrows pointing this way or that way. So the point is that dogs may be on anywhere in the park on the leash and under control of the owner. I mean, they can't be there even with a leash. If they have one of those long leashes and the dog's running around bothering people, that's not legal either. They have to have them under control and on a leash, except in this one area, which is from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., and you have to get a special permit for it. I know you missed a couple of the meetings probably because of your health and that, but we had major discussions about this back in, well, they have to pick up. Yeah.
On the bushes and everything.
Well, there will be, obviously, it won't be, you can't just snap our fingers and suddenly everything will all be enforced by the people themselves. That's why it's important to have a policeman whose job it is to go out there and remind people, and if they still fail to follow the rules, they will get tickets. So, and as I said, the procedure is that they have to be registered. They have to have the dog has to have like a tag on indicating that it's part of this program, and the owner has to have an ID card saying that they have this, they've gotten this permission to do this. And then the policeman, if he sees somebody with a dog off the leash, he can say, "Where's your permit?" So that's the way it's going to work. And it will take time. I think I have a dog. I walk my dog. I know a lot of the people. They're very nice people, but in their minds, they feel like they've always been able to do this.
Okay, I think can we go through the highlights of the rest of the
Okay.
report?
All right.
Because I think we got that under control at this
Okay.
point.
All right. So that takes care of the dogs. Pretty much the things that you see in here, I don't need to go through that thoroughly. But one thing I did want to point out was that just recently we've become involved with an organization made up of the different stakeholders in the playland area and surrounding playland on either side of it along the shore there. It's called the Partnership for Playland's Cultural Future, which is on the second page of my report. We've had 2 meetings so far. We're working on the idea of coming up with a proposal for the development and improvement of the entire area from Edith Reed Sanctuary all the way over to the south end of Rytown Park. One of the concrete things that's coming from it is they're planning to develop a walk, which would be, people could get little maps and it would contain historical and natural history information and be a way of pointing out that Playland and its surrounding parks are not just someplace you go in the summertime, but they're year-round parks. So the details are explained in here, and we're still working on that. And I guess the rest, I don't know what other highlights people are interested in hearing about. If there's anything that you have any questions on that I could answer? No? Okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Mr. Lawyer. I was repeating Goldie's affectionate name for you. I didn't mean to show disrespect.
Okay. 2015 budget?
Okay, I more than happy to kind of walk through quickly. This is our standard budget package that we've been assembling for the last few years. Your opening pages are the informational fluff, but you will get to a 3-page document, and that's what I'd like people to just quickly focus on. 2014, frankly, turned out to be a good year. If you go to page 3, we are actually forecasting a profit of $8,000. Again, these are pre-audited numbers. And we're not 100% sure how they're going to work, but right now it's looking very good that we will show a profit. Understand that below that line, there's $89,700 of capital expenditure this year. That was a significant expense. And I just want to summarize for the commission. Again, this is 2014. The sand, we bought 500 yards of sand and spreading it was $18,000. We totally redid the way we handle trash, bought new dumpsters, expanded the trash handling area. That cost us $20,400. We bought a brand new beach tractor for $27,000. And included in here are the BFJ planning costs. If you'll remember the RFP for operating Rytown Park, that was $22,800. So roughly speaking, about $90,000 of capital expenditures. Included also in there, there's some design costs for the beach ramp.
How much was that, Bishop?
What's that?
The design cost.
Right now, we're in $6,185. So, just going through that, we had a reasonably good year, probably, let me see, 1, 2, 3, the best out of the last 4 years in terms of revenue, $900,000. This year, we're projecting $924,000, say $925,000. I want to call everybody's attention to the reason for that, and that is that because of a calendar quirk, we have 6 extra beach days. If you go into the revenue page there, you'll see 2 calendars. And what I've tried to do is show you that the end of the season last year was on September 1st, Labor Day. Well, this year Labor Day is on Monday the 7th. We pick up 6 extra days. So instead of 102 days, we have 109 days this year. It's a one-year phenomena because next year we lose it on the Memorial Day side when Memorial Day moves. And we'll lose the window there. So, with that, what we did was we kind of took our average numbers. Again, if you want to look at the revenue assumptions, we averaged the last couple of years' revenues, and then we bumped them up by 5.8%, which in equivalent the 6 days against the 102 days. All right, and that's how we arrived at the revenue projection. Seaside Johnny's is a fixed 3% increase, and we're projecting we're still going to hold the line on permit revenue. We are going to go ahead and do our permit mailing, and that's one of the things I want to call the attention to the commissioners. We need to resolve our fees much more than we need to resolve the budget. The budget can be approved next month, for example, but the fees have to be approved at this meeting. I sent everybody some suggested changes in fees. If you go past the calendar, you will see the 2014 fee schedule and 2015 fee schedule. I've circled the changes that the staff had come up with. We met, we discussed various opportunities to raise fees in various areas. This is a conglomeration of those suggested changes. There really weren't very many. And I do want to say that the staff was not in unanimous agreement on these. So this is entirely the commission's call. The first change we're suggesting is the senior permit. The resident senior permit right now is $20. It hasn't been raised in about 6 years, 5 or 6 years. So we're looking to raise it to $30. In addition, what we're looking to do is implement a $1 charge for senior parking. Right now, seniors park free. That has led to any number of misunderstandings. And our feeling here is that a nominal dollar charge to park their car for as long as they want in the park is a rational charge. The same side of that, we're looking to raise the non-resident seniors from $50 to $60. It's the same $10 increase. And we're using our benchmark as the resident single price, for example, and the non-resident single price. When you look at those, the seniors are getting very, very, very deep discounts. The only other recommended change is we do have issues with people that are just hanging out, waiting for our booths to close so that they can get on the beach for free at whatever it is, be it 6, 7 o'clock. We want to implement a $2 beach fee, a $2 per person fee after 7 o'clock. We would keep the booths open until 9, and at that particular point, shut them down then. And our feeling here is that the last time we did this, we collected about $12,000, $12,000 in revenue for the season. So those are the changes that we want the commission to entertain. You'll see a fee history sheet behind that, so you can actually go back 5 years and see what has changed. The highlighted items were the changes that had been made to fees. And at this particular point, all we're looking to do is we need to get these permit letters out. We send out roughly 17,000 letters to every postal address within the town and the city of Rye. And that has produced the results that you saw in 2014 permits, where we went from 102,000 in 2013 to 116,000 in 2014. We picked up a lot of extra permit revenue, and our hope is that we're going to see the same. We see permit revenue as kind of a proxy for residential interest. We do sell some non-resident permits. We don't sell a lot. But by selling the residential permits, we think we are accomplishing the desires of the commission to increase the residential participation or the residential ratio of our customer base.
All right, so I saw the recommended changes from the staff, and I had some concerns about them, and it made me start to rethink the fee structure generally. My concerns were that increasing permit revenue and parking revenue from seniors, the burden of these increases were almost going to fall exclusively on the seniors, and that is generally problematic, if you ask me. I think that they're a population that we really do want to try and protect. And for people who have been using the beach, Oakland Beach, for so many years and probably perceive it as a significant part of their summer, I would hate to create a situation where these increases prevented them from being able to use the park. So that was my one concern with the senior beach fees, or the senior increases. And I understand that the deep discounts that we give seniors are maybe outside the norm of what kind of discounts seniors are normally given, but I think that if we're going to increase any fees for seniors, we need to do it. We need to grandfather in the people who've been using the park the way it's been used, and if any increases are going to be considered, they should be for future senior permit holders as opposed to the present senior permit holders, and that creates management problems, I understand, so I'm not necessarily suggesting that. I also, and I'm sure you remember this, Bishop, but a couple of years ago, I was opposed to the $2 entry fee post 7 p.m. And asked this commission if we could do away with it, because the people who use the park after 7 p.m. are usually residents or people who are just coming for a very brief period of time. I must say that when we had that $2 fee, I heard many complaints about that $2 fee for a lot of reasons, but one of them was that people felt almost like they were being shaken down as they were walking into the park. It's dark. Somebody you are accustomed to be able to walk onto the beach post 7 p.m. and not have to pay a fee, and somebody asks you for $2 cash. Suddenly you feel like, who is this person that's asking me for $2 cash, and why should I give it to them? So so that was just sort of a threatening situation that I don't think we necessarily need, and I don't think it's harmful to allow the residents in the neighborhood who really bear a lot of the burden of the park in the summer and the traffic and the associated noise and activity to kind of give them free access to the beach post 7 p.m. But as I said, what this analysis of the fees made me really kind of sit down and think about the fee structure and whether or not they made sense. And one thing that jumped out at me when I looked at our expenses, was that we have a wage expense for cashiers of $93,000 per year, or per summer, and an additional parking expense of $27,000. And so I just feel like we have two layers of admission to the park. And it occurred to me that maybe we should consider, and I understand this has been considered before, but consider going to a single fee structure where we just pay for parking. Parking is the valued resource here. It's really the scarce resource. And we can significantly increase our parking rates and do away with beach admission rates. I think there are a bunch of benefits there. I think one benefit is that you have a park then where people feel like they can use the whole park. Instead of using just the beach because you paid for admission to the beach, you might use the grass on the beach, be able to more easily go from one to the next. I think, it creates a more open park where people don't have to wear wristbands. They don't have to, you don't have somebody standing in front of the beach keeping you from going in. And I also think, as much as you have people lining up to enter the park post 7 p.m., you also have people on busy weekends lined up on the grass because they don't want to pay the admission fees to enter the park with their family. And so there is an impact on people who can't afford to go to pay for the beach, that they end up not going to the beach at all and just sitting on the park. And it really does feel sometimes like you've got this group of have-nots on one side that can't pay the beach admission fees. So I think this would create a more united park. I think that we could significantly increase parking rates, and that for anybody who comes in with two people who would normally be paying for car and admission fees, you'd end up actually paying less for the two people for the just the car if you almost doubled the parking fees. So I bring this up for discussion purposes. We just got the admission fee schedule on Sunday, so I regret that I wasn't able to have this conversation in more depth with anybody before this evening. But I think it's something we should seriously consider. I think I also think that the ability to account for the number of cars that go in and out of the park and make sure that we've got adequate controls in place are much easier when you're talking about a single admission structure as opposed to a double admission structure.
So, Laura, thanks for raising that, if I may, Tom. Thank you for raising that. I do think, although it's been talked about before, and I understand people that precede us on this commission can tell us about that, I do think that, it's somewhat brilliant, almost, in its simplicity of a solution, especially to the problem that you yourself raised, Bishop, tonight, of the people waiting to go on the beach until a certain hour. I think that what has also been done in the past is there has been some study of peer parking rates at other locations in the area, including places like Greenwich, where they do charge, $20, $25 to come in. So I don't think that, if that were the parking rate at our beach, especially if you're getting into the beach for free, it's unreasonable, and it's easier to administer. You don't have to go through two gates, you go through one gate. We wouldn't have the expense of almost $100,000 a year of paying the people to take the money. So we basically, we get about 300 some odd, but we pay 100 to get it. It doesn't seem to be a good ratio as far as a business proposition. And so I think that if you do the math, the beach revenue last year was, the average over the past 3 years was $344,000. The parking revenue was $270,000. So if you double the parking, that's $270,000. And then if you also count as a benefit the fact that we're not paying $100,000 essentially in cashiers,
Right.
that's $370,000. So we've already made up the 344 with some margin for error. So I for one am intrigued by it. I think it's something that we ought to consider, and I understand that there is some pressure to approve this, but we did just get it on Sunday a couple of days ago, and I think we ought to at least think about it for a little bit beyond tonight. I don't know what anyone else's thoughts are.
Thank you. I agree. Well, first of all, I agree with Laura's premise that I don't think it's fair to be raising our prices on the backs of the seniors here. If anything, we should hold the line there and maybe tweak elsewhere. And I don't feel that a $2 fee for each car after 7 p.m. is warranted. But in terms of the overall looking at the structure, I think it's definitely something that I would want to look at. I would be interested to hear the history, since obviously that was raised before a bunch of us were on this board, and I would love to hear why it wasn't put into place in the past.
Well, I'm one member that's been here since Joe Carvin's been here. I know that Bishop has been here as long as well. Regarding the simple fee structure of using the parking only to give free access to the park and the beach, there's a number of complicated things that I recall. The simplest one is the access to Seaside Giants, because there's a flat rate that they get a discount for, so we'd have to easily figure out a solution to that, but that is one. Second thing is the number of people in the car is the unknown. If you look at the derivative of revenue on beach access versus cars parked, you see the ratio is pretty high. You get a full car load of 5 people or 4 people, a flat rate. You have to take the best case scenario on revenue and divide it by the worst case scenario on parking to come up with a rate. And I think we went through a few iterations, and the cost to park would be astronomical, was unreasonable to assess that fee for parking. And then you had the balance or the lack of equity between those park users who only want to use the park versus the beach users, the beachgoers. And the time of day was very critical too, because you had a lot of beachgoers, park goers in the morning hours that just wanted to passively use the park and not go to the beach, and then it was an unfair assessment to charge them a parking rate that included beach access if they never are going to use the beach. So I think with all of those scenarios in there, the simplicity of having a single cost didn't work. And I think it was an administrative issue as well to try to balance all of those inequities with regards to the multitude of park goers. Time of day, like I said, was one of the biggest factors. And sometimes even on a rainy day, you have some park goers that will want to come to the park just because they can get under the pavilion and they have no use for the beach, but yet they're going to be assessed that ratio. I think, Bishop, you had some of the more definitive numbers in terms of what our beach access cost is. Revenue, the part of the revenue for beach access only versus the number of cars that are parked. We had this looked at by our residents who were on that committee that was created to get more equity out of our parking structure. When we reduced the number of parked cars on the park itself, on the grass.
There was a ratio of people versus cars, not people
Right.
versus cars, but they came up with a 1.8 ratio of saying that each car that came in was the equivalent of 1.8 people on the beach.
And they did a lot of homework. The volunteers on that committee did a lot of homework to flush out the considerations. They're great ideas. I mean, I know that. It took over a year to vet the best possible beach access fees that we could. Now, that doesn't go to say that there is not a better way of doing business. One of the things that I thought of possibly, and it's been talked about, is the purchasing of either coins to get into a turnstile where you don't have an attendant there, so you can save those dollars, or the people have to go to the administration office or another kiosk that will be multi-purposeful, so that they can purchase the coin or some access way of getting to the beach. And I think the objective here is, and we've done this, we've reduced the personnel attendance from 2010 to now by a very large margin. So we've been reducing our people, our attendance, because we wanted to make it easier for access to the beach. We are purchasing, or at least one of the things that's contemplated in the capital budget is to purchase a new kiosk at the beach. maybe now's the time to reconsider whether we want an attendant at the beach access point or come up with another innovative idea of solving two problems at once.
So let me just refer back to the parking study, right? There was a lot of work done on that parking study about 5 years ago, and I did refer to the recommendations when this started running through my mind. And one of the interesting things I saw and was that they recommended that we leave the resident or we leave the beach permit fees the same and leave them flat, but that we raise parking rates. And the commission did not actually raise parking rates as high as they recommended. And the way I look at it, we'd be raising parking rates to about the levels of what their recommendations were. So their recommendations were that we weren't going to see a significant decrease in park goers by raising them up to this level.
Okay.
So, I understand that there are uncertainties. I mean, and I understand that there may be a burden that falls on people who want to use the park for a short period of time. However, the other piece of this that I didn't mention that you raised also that you made me think of was that we're talking about putting in two new beach booths, which one is $60,000, the other is $20,000. So we have another $80,000 worth of capital expenditures associated with parking or with gate attendance at the admission to the beach. So I do think that we can probably come up with solutions to some of these things. And I think automation is certainly key. I think automated parking may help too. You might be able to do automated parking so that you actually pay for the number of hours that you're in the park and do that in a way that's meaningful. The other thing I think we do have to remember is that one of our biggest challenges on busy weekends is that there aren't enough parking spaces in the park for the number of people who want to go. Right. So encouraging more people to load up into cars is actually in our best interests. Those weekends, are crucial, and I think they keep people coming back. And if they get turned away, they may be not likely to come back in the future. And I think fewer cars parked on the park on a regular basis with more revenue associated with them is a beneficial thing for all of us. And just to be clear, when I'm talking about increasing parking rates, I would suggest that we more than double them. Looking at resident weekday and weekend parking of $20 per day and non-resident of $25 per day, and then 4 p.m. to closing rates of like $10 per day. I think getting to a parking rate for permit holders is a little more tricky because the permit holders actually get no benefit from no park admission fees, for no beach admission fees.
Well, did they always get in for free last year?
Well,
Their beach, for the last
Beach
few
access.
years, the beach access we've made completely free for permit
Right,
holders.
I think that's been about 3 or 4 years. I'm not looking to be argumentative, but I do want to point out a couple of things that are operational in nature. We don't operate in a vacuum, unlike a lot of other beaches that are far from anything else. We have Playland right next to us. They have a beach, which they close on Monday and Tuesday. Playland, I don't know what they're charging for parking right now, but I think last year was $7. You, as mayor, probably have seen the triage that happens in the summertime when people are willing to take the risk of parking on your street rather than pay the parking fee for the beach. They get a ticket, obviously. We see that already in terms of people that are parking in Playland, trucking their stuff up the hill, so to speak, to come to the beach because they can get into the beach for free and not have to pay the $10 or $15 that our fee is, because Playland's fee might be $7. So I caution you that looking at raising the fee to, say, $20 a car, that's just going to increase that problem to some extent.
So on that issue, I actually did put in a call to the county legislator who represents Rye, Catherine Parker, today to try and see if there could be some coordination with the county on things like parking rates, and so that there wouldn't be that kind of burden. But that coordination is not something that I can say is going to happen. I can only say that I've made an overture to see, because I understand that that is a complicating factor.
So again, I would think that certainly this is worthy of a study. We studied it once before, and certainly we can look at it again. I think the timing, it might be difficult to totally overhaul our fee structure at this time, but I think we could spend the season looking at it and trying to look at it as potentially implementable for next year.
You know, Bishop, I think that was the comment I was going to make. It looks to me like we open up in about 55 days or thereabouts. People are starting now, I assume, to pick up permits. Is that right?
Well, we are going to have staff on April 6th, and we frankly start preseason parking somewhere late April, April 15th, April 20th. We need about a week or so to get the computers in. But we've already spoken to the computer people and gotten them.
But our season, if we're talking about fees, adjustments, and so forth, I'm very intrigued, and I like the idea Commissioner Brett has brought to the table. I think it needs some study. It needs quite a bit of work, and I wonder if we're up for prime time this year. Probably not, but I sure would like to have been a part of this. I think it's a good way to look at it. But Commissioner Salanitro raises some great points, and I was wondering myself how many people walk themselves rather than park at the beach and then take advantage without having to pay anything. I think all the issues that have been raised are very valid, and I think the idea is very worthy of further study. I don't know about this year, though.
So, one thought I just had was potentially we approve permit fees for this year, so you can send out your mailing for the permits and see if we can get enough analysis of this idea and have some conversations with the county on how it might impact them, and vote on parking fees and the budget. So to be clear, I think we could vote on permit fees.
Yeah, but that includes parking.
I understand, but the permit holders aren't really going to benefit from this fee structure change because they already don't pay for beach entrance. So they don't pay for
It doesn't
beach
hurt them,
entrance.
yeah,
It doesn't hurt them, right.
Step up to the mic. Come on.
If you do that, we get tons of phone calls starting in April of what our fees are, and what are we going to say? We don't know. And, that's going to cause, us to
Well, we didn't know until
not
2 days
look-
ago.
Yeah,
so-
unfortunately, I feel like I've been jammed
And I will
into
tell
this.
you, if you've ever been down at the beach, because I work till 10 o'clock every night, the people that come, that are waiting to get on the beach are not residents.
Right.
Well, I know that for a fact. I'm there every day. They come, they're not the residents. And they come from Playland, they come all over. It's not residents who are waiting at that gate at 7 o'clock to get in.
And it used to be 6 o'clock.
Well, it
We
used to
ma-
be
we made it
6,
7.
and then
Right.
it's 7,
But while you-
and, go ahead.
No, while you're up there, I know that you get a lot of complaints. I mean, the staff gets a lot of complaints. When we changed the rate structure for parking and beach access, and all of these numbers did change in upward, what was the number one complaint? Because I know that you guys gave a report at one time years ago. Was it the cost to park, or was
It
it
was
the
just
cost to
the
get to the beach?
The overall.
'Cause I
Parking,
hear it-
both. It's both. And when that study was done, we did increase the parking fees to
Yes,
what
you
what was recommended.
Yeah.
And day 2, I'll never forget, Mr. Carvin and Mr. French were standing with me at the parking booth. So many people were turning around and leaving that's when they immediately made the decision to lower the rate. But we did go by what the study did say as far as what the fee should have been for parking. And I believe it was $20. And they
it's worth that.
I
immediately
think it
lowered
was.
it to the 15.
I think it was. I mean, it is a
Yeah.
different analysis for people if
Right.
you're going to pay for beach admission on top of that parking
Right.
fee.
Yeah,
Right,
Les-
but what we did actually approve, it was what the study
Okay,
said.
I actually appreciate that. I'd forgotten that.
Right, we
Right.
did raise the rate to
we
those
didn't-
prices.
We didn't last too long.
No,
though.
2
I
days.
remember that.
2 days.
You know, if you look at it from a single person point of view, a non-resident, parking and going to the beach access right now during the week, just for analysis purposes, if they're coming in let's say it's $8 to park, and then $7 to get onto the beach on Monday to Friday, right? So it's $15 for them to get to use our facility. The single-person user, if he goes to $20, is going to get hurt the most. If it's multiple people, then the equation starts to lean in their favor. And obviously, as Commissioner Brett indicated, that those that have the annual permit, the resident annual permit, aren't affected in any negative way at all. So I think it needs to be analyzed, and I think part of the thing, the reason why I think it's coming up is because we're spending a lot of money on the new booths. And, you know, the cost for the cashier, the cost for the capital cost for the booth itself, should we get into a simplistic way of doing business and save those costs? And I know that, you know, timing is everything, and in our case, timing is not working for us.
Well,
But
I will
it's
tell you,
worthwhile.
years ago, that was my thought too, to just have one charge.
Right.
You know, and I did bring it up years
But
ago.
it's the magic number. What's the number?
But
So
I
we
mean-
can't afford to lose the revenue. And if we want that same number, which we need to sustain a balanced budget, it's a gamble, because you could actually lose money. So that's why the analysis has to be done.
Right.
And it has to be some form of equity for the single user as well.
Right.
Because like Fred said, there are a lot of people that turn around and leave.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, we have enough people that have sustained the beach and have sustained the programs that, well, it'd be nice to have more people. It is what it is. It's just, you know.
My feeling is, though, is that if, you know, for right now, I think you should review all the fees and just approve them, because we always send out this fee schedule
Yeah,
to the,
The one thing
with
that
the
didn't make
letter.
any sense to me is that the cashier currently at the beach access stays till 7 PM.
yes.
All right, so, not that I'm in favor of it, but I was just doing quick math in my head. How would it make sense to increase the hours of the cashier to 9 o'clock, pay the cashier to collect $2 a
I
person
would,
from 7 to 9?
I would do a different schedule.
Oh, okay.
I would have them only work 6 hours a day rather than the 7.5 they
I'm not in
work.
favor of increasing hours of personnel
Right.
time, but,
It really wouldn't.
you know, we went from 6 to 7. There's always a compromise,
Right.
and I think staff
And a lot of
came up
it
with a
was,
recommendation.
you know, a lot of the staying till 7, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it was overtime.
Yeah. Well, that's another subject matter that I wanted to
You know,
speak
so it
about.
would eliminate the overtime, because I would have a 9 to 3 and a 3 to 6, a 3 to 9.
Okay. I, as one commissioner, would agree to leave everything as it was last year without any increases in cost, and definitely do an immediate study, and maybe if those volunteers that were on the park committee want to come back in and help us, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's just my,
No, I hear you. I guess, Tom,
one straw poll.
I haven't heard a single person say they think this is a bad idea. Okay, so that's good. In fact, not only is it not a bad idea, I think it's an excellent idea. And I think, you know, there's always going to be a desire for more analysis, for sure. I mean, I think we've done a lot of analysis in the past already. I don't think any amount of analysis will ever guarantee you what the outcome is going to be. And I think that if we are, you know, we have trepidation that, you know, we're giving up the known in search of a better unknown, you know, we'll never, you know, we'll just be paralyzed and we'll never do it. I think, I don't know, I mean, I don't know if I'm convincing myself or if I've been convinced by Laura, but I think that we could probably vote on the fees, the permit fees tonight, look at this for another month, come back in a month and decide to either do it or not do it. But I don't think that we should write it off tonight, because I think the values that this idea would promote are great values. Number one, it would promote an open park, and it would create a more efficient and cost-effective revenue collection mechanism. So, and that's why I think everyone thinks it's a good idea.
And Joe, what do we tell the people when they call? That
Nothing.
the
You don't
commission-
know.
The commission
Well,
hasn't
but you know,
decided? I mean, that doesn't make you guys look good.
that makes it,
you
you
know,
know,
'cause
as I
it-
mentioned earlier, we're 55 days away from a season
Well,
open. That's
no,
my
not
only con-
really. We start selling permits the first week of May.
That's soon.
So you're talking
That's my only
90
concern, Joe.
So we would have a meeting before the first week of May, before they begin selling permits. So when they go to start selling permits, we would have information. We would have adopted a budget with the fee structure in place.
But what about the people that call in
Well,
ahead of time?
Last year, we adopted the budget on March 27th, 2 weeks from approximately 10 days from where we are today.
Right.
If we feel, if the commission feels, just my brain, thinking out loud, if we feel we can crunch some numbers in the next 2 weeks, why not have a emergency or a special meeting of the commission to analyze this one thing? We were in April last year, so we could wait another 10 days or so. But who's got to crunch the numbers, and they have to be, I don't, Bishop, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and
You have to do a revenue analysis for the park for access and determine what would be the right number. We don't want to arbitrarily come up with a parking fee that doesn't give us what we ultimately need. We're not looking to make more money on this. We're just looking to make it more efficient for the users of the park and the beach.
I'm only giving an opinion here because I don't vote. If we are going to look at this seriously for this season, I would recommend that we just leave all the rates as they are and not futz with them. I think this change is a significant change. Remember, we've been fine-tuning our operation here over the last several years, and we finally got it to a point of equilibrium, we think, or at least we think we've proven that over the last 3 years anyway. I'm just concerned that this is a very dramatic change and alters so much. It has to alter our operation. It alters our whatever interactions we may have with what I would call playlands operations. And it is a significant change when somebody drives up to the window and now it's whatever it is, $20 or $25. And that's not what they were used to.
You have to figure out how many people are walking to the park without parking to get into the beach, because that's your loss.
So anecdotally,
so-
Exactly right.
I think
You have
it's
to know
not very
that.
many people.
Well, that's
you know
just
what,
the
the-
local people. That's
I
just the
think-
local people
If
in
people are
Rye.
coming in if people are going to
Well,
Playland and
people go
walking
to
to the
Playland and
beach,
walk over, that's
that's your
different.
loss.
Right.
My concern on this whole thing, I think this change is very dramatic. I think it's got a lot of merit, but my concern is that we're rushing into it. I just think that we're placing getting ready to place an awful lot on staff, trying to get answers to people that they can't answer. There's confusion in the marketplace. I think, Commissioner Salanitro made some great points. I just think we shouldn't rush into this thing. This is that dramatic and that significant of a change. I think we need to take a very good hard look at it and vet it out. I'm for holding the line right now, addressing the fees as they're now structured, whether we increase individually or whether we don't. But keep this on the table and work a subcommittee or whatever it is to get it ready for next year.
If you raise it to $20 a day, and you got people that go to the beach every day, it's going to kill them.
Well, that's why they
So
have the permit.
the people who go to the beach every day have a permit.
Yes.
And so what you're doing is really, and for most people, except a single person, this kind of change will actually cost them less money to visit the beach. So it's really just the single person coming in a car. And to be quite honest, we actually want to discourage people coming in the car by themselves
One person.
because we don't really have enough parking for everyone. That's our issue.
So, Mayor Pagano, I hear what you're saying.
That's my only concern,
Yeah,
Mayor.
I hear that
Yeah.
concern, and how about this? As Commissioner Salanitro said, let me just finish my thought, Fred, and then, as Commissioner Salanitro said, by this time last year, we hadn't even approved the budget anyway. So, I don't feel like we have to do it tonight, because even just last year, we didn't do it until the next meeting. So, we all like the idea. We all also have the same concerns that Mayor Pagano expressed. Why don't we let it germinate for a month? And if we come a month from now, if we still think we like the idea, but we're concerned about changing things too dramatically at this point, then we just institute the same rates that we have from last year and we move on. If, however, we've gained traction with this over the next month, then maybe, I won't foreclose the possibility that we would do it. But I certainly understand the caution that you're recommending, Mayor Pagano.
As do I. I mean, I don't think that this is without issues. I think that there are issues, but I think that there might be issues that we can run down, because I don't think we can get
I like the idea a lot.
I don't think that there's any certainty ever, no matter how much we study it, about what kind of revenue you get from the
Yeah.
parking. And I think that we had that concern when we raised the rates several years ago. So I just think it's something that is worth exploring, and it may be
I do too.
possible.
I do too.
Mr. Joffrey?
Yeah, I just would like to add to this that we're talking about a very comprehensive change to everything we do. It would affect not just the prices, the clients, the customers, but even our hiring process, our permit office. It changes everything. And then when we talk about collecting at the gates, our cashiers are collecting, but we also have people there watching alcohol going in and out. I don't think those considerations were taken into, were thought about. So, I mean, if you decide, you're the board, you decide to go forward, we just have to make some very quick changes that would affect us dramatically. The smart thing to do is to put a committee together, go over it for a year, and then come back, and next year you have a fresh start ahead of time where we can plan for the changes. But just to rush into something so radical, it would throw the whole operation out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, but to say it's radical, I think it's maybe radical in a good way. I don't think radical means it's bad.
No,
I think,
I didn't say bad. I said radical in that it's a major change from
Fred,
what we're doing now, retraining. There's a whole lot of things that go into it.
When's the next meeting, Bishop?
The next meeting would be April 20th.
That's too far.
That's too far.
And not only that, but Joe's been here 6 years. I think he should be part of it.
Well,
I agree.
I was actually
I
going
agree.
to say
Yeah, no,
that
I
very
agree.
thing.
Yeah.
Well,
The other Joe Carvin.
Joe Carvin,
Yeah.
yeah.
there's a tentative meeting that the Rye
Thank
Town
you.
Board is having for April 6th. Would you want to try
That's a
and
Monday
schedule?
night.
Would you want to, I don't know, but that's the Rye Town Board.
Yeah, I
As a
won't-
special
I won't-
meeting, I'm just,
I won't be here.
I won't be here.
okay,
The 6th, we have a board meeting,
okay,
the board of portraits available,
right.
unless you want us to.
Well, no, but it's a special meeting, I don't know, they're having a special meeting to talk about some
Can we
things,
get
so.
a meeting that first week?
I'm not sure what the venue is, though,
They need to-
but the Board of Trustees meets
Yeah.
on the
Turn out
6th.
some
Yeah.
numbers for us, turn out some numbers. for us.
Excuse me,
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
meeting and just
I don't mean to interrupt. You people live in Rye City, which is very close to Oakland Beach. But we are in Portchester, and people who come in their cars, it costs them a lot of money to come in their cars because of gasoline prices, oil prices, and everything else. The only thing is, and also from Rye Brook, the same thing, they'll come there. You cannot raise the fees in Rye City at Oakland Beach because it doesn't make any difference to the people who live there. But it does make a difference, people from Rye Brook and Portchester who are looking to come to a beach. The only thing I want to ask you is, Playland sells articles that show Playland, okay? They sell that. Why can't we do that at Oakland Beach? Have a button or a shirt that shows Playland, shows Oakland Beach on there, and sell those things. Why can't you have purchases right at the beach that people can buy for their children, for themselves, whether it be a button, whether it be a shirt? We should have something to sell to show Oakland Beach.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
fine.
because
But
it
that's-
is
That's a great
a
idea.
historic area.
I think that's a great idea.
If I may, having just made my extremely emotional and heartfelt appeal, I think I'm going to just do an about face and say, look, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm hearing Mayor Pagano's words. And I think that I'm really not going to change anything that I said, but I'm going to change the last sentence, which is maybe, all things considered, it is March 17th. Our next meeting is not until April 20th. We're not going to find an opportunity to realistically to have another meeting between now and then. Even if we do, the odds are at best 50-50 that we're going to make the change at this point, even though we all like the idea. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. So maybe if the rest of the commission is on board with this notion, that even though we'd like to do something, we just may have our hands tied at this point, maybe we should, at this point, just go ahead and take the vote tonight and just approve, I think, all of the same fees from last year without making any changes at all.
Okay, excuse me 1 minute.
If you want the
We
motion.
could also have flea markets. We could also have all kinds of things going on at Oakland Beach that people will come and pay money for, and you will get the revenues.
Goldie, this is
That's
not
fine.
public
But
comment.
don't raise the cars parking and the beach.
Okay.
I make a motion that
That-
the Wright Town Park 2015 fee schedule be adopted as was presented for the 2014 fee schedule with no changes.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Do we need a roll call, or everyone said aye, right?
Good.
None opposed.
I just have one quick question, though, on the expense side, Bishop.
Yeah.
I know if I may, Mr. Chairman, I know we modified the way we pick up, the village of Portchester picks up trash.
Yes.
We changed containers and so forth.
Right.
I saw the spike in the expense, if I'm reading it right, $12,200,
Right.
something like that. Is that because of the additional?
No,
No?
there's a notation in your expense, if you look at the narrative for expenses, where is it? It should be there. Refuse removal, Village of Portchester is contracted to do refuse removal and bills Wright Town Park at cost plus an admin fee. We had, expenses were high in 2011 and 2012 because of Hurricane Irene and Superstorm Sandy. 2014 expenses, however, are showing $757 for the purchase of the new dumpsters. Now, we've discussed with the auditors that we feel that should be a capital item and should be moved over to the capital budget. Right now, the $89,000 number that I gave you, let me see, does it include that? Hang on a second. Does not include that in the $89,000. So our feeling is that's going to move over to the capital side, and the real net number is much less.
That's what I was going to get at. If we've had the time to measure it. I was just very curious what the impact, the financial impact on our budget has been.
Well, we
If there are
finished
increased-
the project late last year,
Did more
late in the
trips.
season
We need
last
more-
year, so
we need more
we need
history.
more time to
Okay.
do that. But the feeling we had was the number of pickups was going to remain the same.
Okay.
And the only thing that changed, which is offset, is it takes the guy a few extra minutes to pick up and dump each container.
Okay, so we need.
However, he saves now the return trip because he doesn't have to come back.
Okay.
In other words, he only makes
You
one.
need another 12 months to, we
Right.
need some history. Good.
Can I just say one more thing, Tom?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I was supposed to leave by 7:15. It's
Yes.
already almost
You're-
7:30. So Bishop, based on the motion that just carried,
Yes.
just to be clear, what that means is your suggested changes to the increasing of the senior fees and the increasing of these fees after 7 PM, that's not happening.
Right.
Correct.
Because
Right.
that was not the case last year, so that's
Right.
not
Right.
happening. And then also, I would venture to say that any plans that you had to spend money on rehabbing the beach entrances should be put on ice until we come to a determination as to what we're going to do with this plan going forward.
If you look in the last page, you see the capital outline. There are only two items there, and that was the security camera system. We were hoping to be able to at least do half of that project, get started with it. And the rest is the Middle Beach Gate ramp, and there's $16,000 roughly allocated for the actual booth itself.
Well, I apologize, I'm going to excuse
Yeah.
myself. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we talk about the budget now, quickly?
Well,
Right down Park Road, right?
yeah, we were talking about the capital.
Is there a Wright Town Park meeting at 7:30?
No, Wright
Or a
Town.
Wright Town meeting?
There's a
at
town
7:30?
meeting after this, yes.
Can we put off discussion of the capital projects until next meeting?
Yeah, and I think Joe should be here for
I
that.
think Joe
I
should be
do
here
too.
for that as well.
agree.
Yeah.
Are you in crunch time?
Well, no, again, we
gotta
went
vote
ahead
on it
and we
anyway.
had the design developed for the beach ramp, which you have copies of. We've gone through a couple of iterations. Our feeling here is that we have a premier product. I spoke with the architect yesterday. She could not be here today. We wanted to have her speak to this. But the bidding process, for example, if you guys gave us the go-ahead to bid the job, would take about 6 weeks. Okay, from publishing and you know, getting it back and forth and everything else. And the construction of the actual work, assuming you awarded the job almost immediately, would take another 6 weeks. That would carry us into about the middle of June.
Yep. Is there a reason why we shouldn't go to bid?
Well, we could go to bid, and you don't have to necessarily approve
You
it.
could hold the prices
Right.
for 90-plus days if you
Yeah.
want.
Yes.
Just put in the notice to bidders, hold the prices for 120 days.
Sure. The spec is written, right, in addition to the...
Yes,
drawing?
the spec is done. We can be out to bid
I don't-
by
I don't-
the end of the week, or actually Monday, let's say
I don't see any
Monday.
reason why we shouldn't.
No, actually,
In terms of
Otherwise,
getting,
we're going to lose 30,
we
another
need to go
month.
out to bid to see.
To
if
get
we
the
have
prices and so forth. That doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do the job.
No.
You still have to vote to approve
Right.
the contractor.
Right.
Just a thought, the money was allocated, well, we've been working on this for 4 years. It's a source of many injuries, people tripping on a sliding, so every year we worry about a major injury on the ramp that's there now. So we started the process 4 years ago. The money was allocated 2 years ago. So it's just a matter of, we're right on the threshold here.
Let's
so
bid it.
the money, was the money really allocated?
It was
I mean,
earmarked.
I think
2
it
years
was
ago.
earmarked,
No,
but not
earmarked.
allocated, which is
Earmarked.
different.
You have the money, you don't have the
Because we
money.
ended up spending that capital, those.
On another project.
On other projects. So
Right.
there is a budgetary impact of this.
Yes,
And,
yes.
But I understand that there is some urgency to getting this out to bid.
Yeah.
And by the way, that ramp has been bad for a very long time. I have memories of my children in strollers trying to take them down that ramp, and I understand that.
Every
the
time I go
issue-
there, I worry about people getting hurt.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean,
Okay.
going out to bid, Bishop, should be done post haste. I mean, I was kind of
Okay.
hoping it was going to get done over the winter time, since we did
Yep.
approve this, or we did authorize the project to move forward in, what, June or July?
Yes.
See, I'm actually agreeing with Fred. What's taking so long? Can we get to the budget? I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Some of the assumptions on the wage benefit with respect to overtime hours. You've tracked the overtime hours since 2010,
Right.
and you're assuming 0 overtime hours for 2015. I just think that that's unreasonable.
Well, we don't budget overtime hours, and frankly,
No.
we never have.
But the salary is predicated on your wages and benefits of $463,000. Right? The total salaries is equivalent to that sheet that we have. I don't have a page number on it,
Yes.
but it's unpaid.
Right, the schedule of hours,
The
the,
Wrighttown Park wage benefit assumptions.
Right.
You have all your various employees identified based upon the number of hours you anticipate them working.
Yep.
And then you come up with a total number of 463,000 and change.
right.
But in that analysis, you did not include any overtime, where in the prior 4 years, there's been a substantial amount there's been overtime hours
Well-
accrued. I think it's underestimating the employee.
I do appreciate your willingness to help us there.
Well, the next statement you're not going to be happy about.
I do want to just point out that we're looking at a total of 221 hours.
Last year.
And even if that was times, let's just say roughly $25 an hour, which is on the high side, we're talking about $5,000, roughly speaking. That's in my mind, that's in the error factor, if you will, of projecting $400,000 or $500,000 in terms of wages.
But you shouldn't put 0 because it's an impression that you're going to work 0.
Okay.
You should
We
put a
could-
number that makes sense. You know, if you want to go with 200 hours, you should put
Yes,
something.
I follow what you're saying.
Unless
and-
you're doing something dramatically different, like not charging anybody at the beach entrance, then I can see that being 0. Fred?
Okay.
Right, because then you're reducing your stamping
Right.
expense significantly.
The only other item I have, and it's always a tough one as a government employee, it's increases to staff. I know that you guys are forecasting a 3% increase. I don't know if if Joe has a weigh-in on this, and maybe we should wait for him to come back, but most government employees aren't seeing much of an increase this year, and I think 2% might be more manageable than 3%.
I don't disagree. Our feeling here was, the town of Rye awarded its staff 3% in 2015. I'd also ask the commission to just take a look at the performance over the last 5-6 years and understand that for the first 4 years, we froze salaries.
What was the increase last year, Bishop?
Last year was 2%.
Okay. You have unionized...
And those were the first 2 years of increases we've had at the park.
So I will say.
Since
the
we've
city
been
of
in
Rye-
office.
The city of Rye is really reluctant to increase wages for our employees over 2% a year, in large part because we're all constrained by the 2% tax cap.
Exactly, and we have the same constraint, and we feel the same way.
Yeah, we can easily adjust that. I can have that adjusted.
And that's really
have
where
it-
the village of Portuguese
And have it
is,
back
too.
to you. Okay, we can do that.
It comes out to about $43,000, 1% of the total. So, maybe my math was wrong.
No, your
it's
math is wrong. It
4,000.
comes out to about $4,000 or $5,000.
So 5,000, which will make up the difference in your overtime.
Right. Okay, we'll make it 2%. All right, understand that about 1/3 of our staff, not quite 1/3 of our staff, are minimum wage employees. They will automatically go to $8.75. And they're primarily in the parking area and cashier area for the most part. The lifeguards get premiums because of the extra training they need. The security people get premiums because of the extra training. Most of the grounds people are doing hard manual labor. They get above minimum wage. So those are the two categories that are subject to the minimum wage category.
What do they go up to? What does that increase go up to next year?
Well, it goes to $8.75, and then it goes to $9 next year. But this year it goes to $8.75 from, I think it's $8.25.
Okay.
No, excuse me. $8. I'm sorry. It was $8 was the New York State minimum this year. It goes to $8.75.
Right.
This is the biggest increase.
Right.
9%.
All right, so if I heard everybody correctly here, we're going to change this to 2%.
You might as well use the same number, that the difference in that number, put it towards your overtime.
You want me
number,
to
so it's more reflective.
adjust the overtime, right?
Adjust the overtime that equates to the difference in the 2% to 3%,
Okay.
so you don't have to change all your numbers.
Okay,
The budget will still be the same, you know what I'm saying?
understand. I got you. And we're going to wait on the capital.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything that the commission feels it needs from the staff for the next meeting to supplement whatever budget documents you have?
Can you give I'd like to see what we agreed to on the capital from last year.
Sure.
So,
2014 capital?
2014 capital and the items, because we had some street lights, some park lighting.
Yep.
And security that we agreed on some items and we pushed some items off. I just want to see where we were last year, what we actually did in capital, and it'll give us at least give me a better framework to talk about 2015.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you
All
need-
right.
We don't need a motion on the budget as amended, do we?
Do we have to
No,
approve
you're
it?
you're
taking
not
action.
you're not approving the budget.
Okay.
All you did was approve the fees, keeping the fees the same.
Right.
Okay,
I think that the rest of it will be for the next meeting.
okay.
Next, the correspondence.
And there really isn't any. We did get a request from the volleyball people. I thought they were going to be here. They actually... Oh. Oh. So they're going to plead their case directly.
Hi, how are you? I'm Joe Pecora. I'm a board member of Rye-Town Youth Football and Cheerleading. We're an organization that serves the children of Portchester, Rye, and Rye Brook pretty evenly. Of course, we have youth programs for football, both tackle and flag. We have cheerleading, and we use this volleyball as a fundraiser to help us. We have to pay for fields, pay for insurance, and all these different things. We don't take any money from any rec departments, be it Portchester, Rye, or Rye Brook. So we provide this service, and we use this as a fundraiser to help our youth football and cheerleading league. So we've been doing this well, a lot longer than I've been on the board, but from what I'm told, over 10 years.
What are you looking for?
So we're just looking to use it again, and hopefully we've, at the same rate that you've been charging us in the past.
Which I think that last year we charged them $20 flat fee. That included their parking. Remember, they come in somewhere around, I think they start coming in at 5 or 6 o'clock.
PM.
PM. Okay, so they're in, after our normal hours. We give them a little placard, which we designed. They can put in their car, and we don't normally see that this is a volleyball member. Last year, if I recall, I don't have the exact amount, so hold on, but it was about 300 some odd people, 330 some odd people. So we're talking about $6,600 in revenue. And it's a phenomenal event, gets great press, a lot of fun, and you have 300 some odd people there on a Monday night.
Nice. Joe, how many years you been doing this?
The volleyball, 4 years now, and I've been doing youth football for 7.
Joe, how many weeks is your season?
It's, do we have 12 weeks? Is it?
I just don't recall.
It's over 13 weeks with the playoffs, the championships.
Are you planning on raising the fees for your,
No.
this year? You're not raising the fees?
We only raise it when we get, but, we raise it significantly the last time we got an increase, but we don't raise it. The thing what it is we're an all-volunteer league.
Right.
So myself and whoever I get, people out, it's all volunteer, so we don't have any salaries or anything like that. So it's really just dependent on insurance, the cost of T-shirts, things like that. Equipment, it's relative, and then what we pay the park.
And when did we last raise your rates?
2 years ago,
years
not
ago.
last year, the year before.
And how much do you charge for either a person or a team?
It depends, because there's a youth rate, but it averages out to probably about $100.
Okay.
All right. I would make a motion that we keep the rates the same as last year.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
And you have the insurances and all that stuff?
Yes, we
Okay.
provide all that,
Yes.
and which is a significant cost to us, but important for us and yourself.
Yeah.
And on a quick note, what he was saying about the ramp, that's kind of where we take score and give out whatever we have to give out. And I will say, when I'm there, I'll sweep it sometimes. It's sad to see how much, I see older people go and you try to, I've gotten yelled at from older people trying to help them down the ramp. I know there's going to be a problem, and I've seen people fall down and become unconscious, an ambulance. So it's something that you really, it should be addressed.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Anybody? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Old business?
None?
Okay, new business.
Not
Tony,
from,
I'm
not from
sorry,
my
on-
side.
On the old business, I was reading a report, Fred, about the park benches were received, those from the Friends, and she left, Linda left. The Friends of Scarsdale Park got donations for park benches. When are they going in?
They're being put together, then they're going to go in the park.
Do you know who they're using to install them? Is it going to be parks employees?
Our employees.
Our guy,
Or your employees?
Yes.
Are installing them? Concrete, the whole thing?
yeah.
These don't necessarily need concrete.
What do they necessarily need?
Well, because in the initial benches are going to be installed in areas where we currently have blacktop already. They're replacing existing benches.
They're not going to be secured to the pavement? Don't the benches get secured?
Yeah, they can be secured, but they can be secured with, regular bolt anchors.
Are they gonna be secured?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
They have to be, otherwise they'll be carried away.
You think-
Yeah, at the moment, we have no plans to replace any of the cedar benches that are out in the park. Those, frankly, don't even belong to Rytown Park. They belong to the Friends of Rytown Park, so to speak. But we're thrilled that this is happening. We have 7 benches, and you guys should come take a look at them. They should probably be in by May 1st or thereabouts.
Are any of those benches earmarked for, there was at least one bench that was the old concrete-style bench that was broken. Is that getting replaced? Because there was a memorial plaque on that. It was an old plaque. Is that getting replaced, Bishop?
Yeah, we're gonna any existing plaques that are on a bench that will be replaced will be transitioned to that bench, to a new bench.
But the people that, the Friends of Rytown Park,
Right.
they've got donations for these benches.
They have donations for the 7 benches, the first 7 benches we're putting in, yes.
All right. But you're not using old plaques to put on the new benches?
No.
Okay. So there'll be other benches that will be to replace the existing benches with with the old plaques?
Yes.
Okay. And where's that money coming from?
Well, that was, if you'll recall, that was in the
budget,
that was part of the capital plan that we took the benches out.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bishop.
Okay.
Any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Before we jump to that, ladies and gentlemen, this will be my last official meeting. Election day is tomorrow. My last official meeting as mayor of the village of Portchester is April the 6th, so I'm going to miss your next meeting. I have
We
to
will
tell
miss you, Neil.
Thank you.
We will miss you, yeah.
It's-
Congratulations, thank you for your
Thank you. It's really been a pleasure, and I have to tell you what a contrast between these meetings and our meetings in Portchester. This has been great. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all.
so much, thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you very much.